Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, worry and urgency build amongst African migrants in South Africa ahead of the June 30th deadline set by protesters demanding that undocumented foreigners leave. Months of violence have cost lives and often targeted documented people. Some still in the country are braced for tensions to spike even further this week. Also, at least 3 are killed in Ghana as floods paralyze the capital and the government orders workers to stay away after days of continued rainfall flood major parts of Accra. And Cape Verde offers greener pastures for LGBTQ plus people on the continent. It's one of the most welcoming countries for the communities in Africa, where around 30 other nations still criminalize same-sex relations. We take a closer look. But first, foreigners from elsewhere on the continent have been gathering in their hundreds in a makeshift camp in Durban, in South Africa, some still hoping to make it out of the country, others hoping that there is safety in numbers. Tensions have been building ahead of Tuesday's June 30th deadline that anti-immigrant groups have set for all undocumented foreigners to leave. Now, that came amongst 3 months of xenophobic protests and attacks that have cost at least 9 lives and often targeted people with their papers in order. More marches are planned on Tuesday, and many are afraid what that will mean for their safety. Eunice Masson tells us more.
Go home is the slogan of anti-immigration protesters. As a dress rehearsal ahead of the nationwide mobilization on the 30th of June, several marches have been held across the country in recent weeks. In Parklands, a suburb of Cape Town, protesters are demanding the deportation of all undocumented migrants.
South Africa is just a chaos. Everyone comes in and do as they please. Law enforcement is nowhere to be found. People are complaining, people are frustrated now.
But the police demonstrated that they too are prepared. In an operation costing more than 30 million euros, every police unit will be deployed. Even private security companies will assist the police. Authorities insist that no form of violence or looting will be tolerated.
Everybody's got the right to march. It's in the Constitution, but not necessarily the right to intimidate those who do not want to march with you. And all, including undocumented or illegal, or all people who will be in South Africa, we will protect them.
These assurances have done little to ease fears. Thousands of people want to return to their countries. Anti-immigration groups have given them until the 30th of June to leave. Outside the Zimbabwean consulate, people arrive every day. This family came from Robertson, about 150 kilometers from Cape Town.
There in Robertson, they promised to kill us. And the owner of the house is what we say. They say they're going to hit us. So we decided to leave.
More than 8,000 migrants have been repatriated in recent days. Pressured by the protests, the government promised to tighten its immigration policy, but tensions in the country remain high.
In Uganda, a major military crackdowns targeted the country's leading independent media conglomerate, forcing its main TV and radio stations off the air. Amongst the silent outlets is the Daily Monitor, one of Uganda's most influential newspapers, which has long been an excoriating critic of President Yoweri Museveni's government. Our correspondent in the region tells us more.
Video unavailable. That's the message Ugandans have been seeing since Sunday when trying to watch NTV Uganda or Spark TV. During the night between Saturday and Sunday, soldiers stormed the Nation Media Group headquarters in Kampala, and by early morning, NTV Uganda, Spark TV and the Daily Monitor had all ceased broadcasting. The order came from General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, head of the armed forces and son of President Museveni. On X, he was blunt: "I do not believe in press freedom. NTV and Monitor will not reopen without my permission." He also used the platform to order the arrest of the group's managing director, Susan Sibirwa. The three outlets have historically been among Uganda's more independent voices, and this is the third time the Daily Monitor has been forced to suspend operations following a raid. On each occasion, the trigger was reporting that touched on power, this time coverage of Muhoozi's governance, human rights, and security report. By Sunday evening, a Muhoozi ally signaled that the media houses could reopen, but with conditions, and only after President Museveni gives final approval. In the meantime, they have kept publishing on social media.
Now, in Senegal, police fired tear gas on crowds protesting outside of Parliament on Monday as lawmakers voted to back constitutional changes that could undermine the clout of President Bassirou Diomaye Faye. Now, the Minister of Justice says that any amendments will first be put to a referendum, but Faye supporters want the proposed changes immediately pulled. They include provisions to stop a sitting president from leading a political party. The changes were proposed by the ruling Pastures party, which is led by the parliamentary speaker and former Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko. His rift with former ally President Faye has put them at political odds, and critics of Sonko say that the suggested reforms are a power grab on his side.
We
are in the streets of Dakar to defend our constitution, because what we have seen is that every regime comes with its own tailor-made constitution. We cannot accept that Senegal moves forward and that men come to tailor the constitution to satisfy their personal desires and ambitions. What they want to establish today is a revision to create a strong National Assembly that can reduce the powers of the President of the Republic to be able to twist the arms of other institutions.
It's absolutely necessary to discuss it, to set the debate and to allow forces of society to express themselves. The people must have the last word. At the beginning there is a process, but then at the time of validation, we clearly see a desire to monopolize power, to create a situation that is actually favorable to the Prime Minister or to the National Assembly.
Well, Ghana's government issued a notice for workers to stay away as days of continued rainfall flood major parts of the capital, Accra. At least 3 people are thought to have lost their lives. Offices and schools were shut down on Monday, and hundreds of people were trapped in their homes. Our Ghana correspondent Justice Baidu talks us through.
Raining in Ghana since at least April of 2026. The volumes have, however, risen in June of this year. All over this weekend, it's been raining heavily, especially in Accra, the capital. Several persons have reported of their livelihoods that have been lost and properties that have been swept away by flood waters. Electricity supply to parts of the city have been cut as electricity installations have been breached by flood waters. Rescue operations are currently happening in several places, and at least 1 person is reported to have been killed.
Words cannot even describe what I really want to say. A little rain that happened just yesterday and today destroyed properties inside the house, messed up the whole place, and we are now bearing the consequence of what water can actually do.
I saw that the whole compound was full, and then as I peeped through the wall, I saw that the street was full, and the way it was like waves, sea waves, rushing down. So that's what happened. But the way it was not something that you could get out.
2009 that I came to live permanently here, but I've been seeing this kind of flood before.
More rains are expected in the coming days as the Ghana Meteorological Agency has warned that there are approaching thunderstorms that are coming in from the Togo, Benin area that are expected to hit southeastern Ghana in the coming days.
Justice Baidu there for us. Now, Cape Verde is one of Africa's few outliers in its open relationship with queer people. In stark contrast to much of the continent, where at least 30 countries still criminalise same-sex relations, Cape Verde has allowed it to be legal in the archipelago since 2004. In fact, there are active protections for LGBTQ plus workers, and discrimination is legally prohibited. Emily Boyle talks us through.
A last dash of makeup, and Walter is ready to take centre stage in his play celebrating LGBT history, evidence of a healthy cultural scene among Cape Verde's queer community. The archipelago, which sits off the coast of Senegal, is a rare oasis of tolerance in Africa, where anti-LGBT laws have become increasingly repressive.
We're almost living in paradise here in Cape Verde. But it's the result of a lot of hard work. Many of my friends have been attacked or thrown out of their homes. Society is opening up little by little, but there's still a lot more work to be done.
Same-sex relations have been legal in Cape Verde since 2004. The country has also banned workplace discrimination based on sexual orientation. But across the ocean in Senegal, the situation is not the same. In March, the country imposed a law doubling sentences for same-sex relations from 5 to 10 years in prison.
I think Senegal's anti-LGBT law is bizarre. It makes no sense. We try to understand, but it's something you can't really understand. Each person has their own life. And to be punished just for being who you are, I think that's extremely harsh.
Cape Verde's musical and cultural scene hopes to continue to spread awareness about LGBT struggles. But the road ahead is long. Around 30 African countries still criminalise same-sex relations, with jail terms including life in prison and the death penalty.
And finally, it was a good run, but not meant to be. South African football fans have been coming to terms with their squad's exit from the World Cup after Sunday's 1-0 loss to Canada. Hopes had been high as the Bafana played in the knockout round for the first time. The exit, though, is an end of an era, but did spark fire in the belly of many fans for more.
I honestly feel like we're the better team, but the thing is, in football, better teams, sometimes they don't win. Football is a game of chances, and I just feel like we didn't take our chances, and also Canada was good.
All the best to the rest of the African team that are still out there, because we were 9, so now it's -1, which is South Africa, now they are 8. So we look forward to the next of the African team that are left out there.
Very magnanimous there. That is, though, all we have time for Eye on Africa. Thanks very much for joining us, and do so again if you can. Till then, take care.